The click of the lock echoed in the silent hallway. I stood there, the manila envelope clutched in my hand, feeling the weight of it like a physical burden. It had been 3 weeks since I'd hired the PI, 3 weeks of pretending everything was normal while my insides twisted with a sickening dread. 3 weeks of forced smiles and hollow laughter, sharing a bed with a woman who I suspected, deep down, was living a lie. Melissa had been acting different. Distracted, secretive. The late nights at work had become more frequent, the flimsy excuses more elaborate. The scent of unfamiliar cologne clung to her clothes, a phantom presence in our home. I tried to ignore it, to chalk it up to stress, but the nagging doubt burrowed deeper, a parasite feeding on my trust. Finally, I'd broken. The pie was my last resort, a desperate attempt to either confirm my fears or lay them to rest. Now, holding the envelope, I knew. I could feel it in the heaviness of the paper, the crisp edges, the way my hand trembled. I went to the study, poured myself a stiff drink, and sat down. The amber liquid swirled in the glass, mirroring the turmoil in my stomach. I took a deep breath and tore open the envelope. The photographs spilled out, glossy and stark against the dark wood of my desk. Melissa, her laughter bright and unguarded, intertwined with another man. Not just any man, but Elliott Ashton, our neighbor, a man I considered a friend. The world shifted on its axis. The images documented the clandestine meetings, their whispered conversations, the stolen kisses in dimly lit restaurants and secluded parks. The report detailed dates, times, even the sickeningly sweet pet names they used for each other. My initial reaction wasn't anger. It was a profound, soul-crushing emptiness. A sense of betrayal so deep it felt physical. We'd been married for 10 years, built a life together, a home filled with shared memories. And now, looking at these pictures, I realized it had all been a lie. A carefully constructed facade. The emptiness gave way to a cold, hard fury. I poured another drink, the burn of the whiskey a small comfort against the ice forming in my veins. I reread the report, meticulously documenting every betrayal, every lie. I spent the rest of the night planning. The anger was a fuel, driving me forward, giving me a sense of purpose in the wreckage of my life. The next morning, Melissa was surprised to see me home. She'd probably expected me to be at work, oblivious to her deceit. "What's wrong?" she asked, a flicker of unease in her eyes. "We need to talk," I said, my voice flat and emotionless. I handed her the report and watched her face drain of color as she flipped through the pages. The photographs, like venomous snakes, coiled around her fabricated reality. Her carefully constructed world began to crumble. "It's not what it looks like," she stammered, the words weak and unconvincing. "Really?" I asked, my voice laced with acid. "Because it looks like you've been screwing our neighbor for the past 6 months." Her silence was a damning confession. Tears welled in her eyes, not tears of remorse, but tears of self-pity. She tried to speak, to offer some pathetic justification, but I cut her off. "Pack your bags, Melissa. You're out." The shock of my decisiveness seemed to stun her. She opened her mouth to protest, but no words came out. She knew she'd been caught, her carefully constructed web of lies unraveling before her eyes. She packed a suitcase, her movements robotic, her face a mask of despair. I watched her go, feeling a strange mixture of satisfaction and sorrow. But my plan wasn't finished. Elliott Ashton needed to learn that actions have consequences. I drove to his house, the anger simmering inside me. He answered the door, his smug smile faltering as he saw the fury in my eyes. "What do you want, David?" he asked, his voice laced with a false bravado. "I know about you and Melissa," I said, my voice low and menacing. His face paled. I don't know what you're talking about." I held up the pie's report, the incriminating photographs staring back at him. "Don't insult me," I growled, shoving the report into his chest. "You've destroyed my marriage. You've betrayed my trust." The color drained from his face. He stammered, trying to form a coherent sentence, but I cut him off. I didn't want explanations or apologies. I wanted retribution. I swung, my fist connecting with his jaw with a sickening crunch. He stumbled back, surprise and pain etched on his face. I followed up with another blow, and another, the rage pouring out of me. He tried to defend himself, but he was no match for my fury. I left him there, sprawled on his porch, a bloody mess. The physical release didn't bring the satisfaction I'd hoped for. It was a hollow victory. The emptiness remained, a constant reminder of what I'd lost. The following weeks were a blur of legal proceedings and emotional turmoil. The divorce was messy, Melissa fighting me every step of the way. She tried to paint me as the unstable one, the aggressor. She tried to claim a larger share of our assets, playing the victim. But I had the evidence, the cold, hard facts that exposed her lies. In the end, she got what she deserved. Nothing. Elliott's wife, Nova, filed for divorce as well. His reputation was ruined, his career in shambles. He'd lost everything. I moved out of the neighborhood, needing a fresh start, a place where the memories didn't haunt me at every turn. I sold the house, erasing the last vestiges of our life together. The pain lingered, a dull ache in my chest, but it was slowly fading, replaced by a sense of resilience, a determination to rebuild my life. It took time, but I started to heal. I focused on my work, reconnected with old friends, and slowly began to trust again. I even started dating, tentatively at first, but with a growing sense of hope. I knew I'd never forget what happened, but I refused to let it define me. I learned a valuable lesson about trust, about betrayal, and about the resilience of the human spirit. I emerged from the ashes, scarred but not broken, stronger and wiser than before. The memory of Melissa's ghost white face, the moment her world crashed down, served as a constant reminder: actions have consequences, and sometimes, the truth, however painful, is the best revenge.